Hello. Today, there are some thoughts I wanted to share. If this not too was a little bit better. I wanted to share some thoughts on the concept of urgency and why it's extremely important. And so, first, I'm going to take a concrete examples of today's world that we are all facing. Well, it's depends on where you live. But where I live, for example, with this pandemic, this is a very concrete example of the idea of urgency and how resources are deployed to solve problems. So first I'm going to take this example and then I'm going to extend it to other areas and to other fields where the same urgency could be applied to massively solve problems. So and we can see this with also the environment, but see, I'm going to get at this. Bear with me. So today, the pandemic is hitting hard because of the second wave, as they call it, and the healthcare industry is realizing that there are, the hospitals become overloaded with patients and they can't ensure quality of the service and the care for people because there are too many patients coming in. Now, with the events that have happened this year, people have realized of how much urgency is important to solve the problems. Now, they express it in different ways, and today is not very efficient because we have been unprepared for this, obviously, and so the solution that people have, or government or health experts, is to act quickly and not spontaneously, but since it has become an urgent problem, we have no other choice than to act now and to do everything we can. But this implies that we haven't done what was necessary before. Now, some people might get mad at me when I say this because, well, what can we do? What else can we do, right? You may ask. Because obviously now it's too late. We have to do it this way now because it's just too late. And so why am I talking about urgency today is specifically to raise awareness on how it's important to cultivate it in order to prevent issues from happening, such as what's happening today. So, why? So, the thing is, how do we create urgency? Because most people today are not aware of a lot of issues that exist, and for most people, they are just ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I don't mean it in a judgmental way. I mean it just in a descriptive way, in terms of they just don't know, right? And also, personally, there are a lot of things that I'm not aware of myself. But I'm willing to be informed of issues that I could potentially not be aware of. Now, so to create urgency, people have to become aware that issues are happening. And then, it's that even then, when people are informed, it's not enough to be informed. They have to understand the consequences of the problems in order to take action and prevent them. Because, as you know, there are a lot of issues where people just know that the things are happening, and they knowingly do nothing about it. And that's what we absolutely don't want. So being informed is not enough. You have to understand how the consequences impact your life, your well-beings, and the well-beings of the people you care about. And once you understand, you will feel involved in contributing to solving the problem. And so also there is a risk here, because today, we have clearly saw with the pandemic that people are capable of having urgency to solve a specific problem. But because it's one isolated problem, it makes us hypocrites compared to the other problems that are evenly or that are equally or more important to solve. And again, you might get mad when I say hypocrites, but so, in other words, let's use the term incoherent so that it may be easier to hear. Because we are not aware of certain issues, we tend to neglect them, to degrade their importance, and therefore we don't cultivate urgency to solve those problems. And if we take again the pandemic, now we have arrived to a situation where we can only do so much, right? Because we have to act in the heat of the moment. I say we, but people in healthcare just have to do the best they can with what they have now. And my point is that if we had cultivated urgency before it happens, before the problem emerges to begin with, we could have avoided the the any institution or hospital getting overloaded at all. And when I say cultivate urgency before, I mean 5, 10, 50, 20 years from now, ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if the countries and governments had invested massively in resources for the hospitals and other institutions to make sure that when this kind of event happens, it can be handled properly. What would have happened is that today it could have been managed smoothly without worrying that any health care system becomes overloaded. Do you understand? I mean, and you can apply this to everything. Because today we tend to cultivate urgency only when the problems are already happening. And this is what we want to avoid at all costs. We want to cultivate urgency to perpetually update what we know and what we perceive to be an issue, to always be up to date on the problems that are happening, and so that when they occur, we are prepared to solve them or to deal with them. And I said earlier that it makes us hypocrites or incoherent. It's because you can't tell the people that now we have to stop the propagation of the virus and all that, and now it's on us, it's on the population now to take actions and to restrict their liberties, their freedoms, because as a result of government investing in other things and caring about profit overall, above all, so that it led us to that kind of situation. Do you understand? So it's such incoherence that we can only understand that if we expand the time frame. If we see only to now, today, or in the span of a few months, you cannot see that. You can't understand that. Only if you expand like 10, 15 years and you see how governments invest in resources and the industries, then you see the result of that. So, and it's the same for the environment. If we want to, a lot of people consider it as like a hobby or an opinion to care about the earth. But see, this is coming from the place of ignorance. It's only because you don't understand fully the actual consequences and implications that it has that you can say that. If you understood everything that is going on, you would also develop urgency, and you would want nothing but solving the problems. If you care just a little about your life or the lives of other humans after you. There is a lot of incoherence about now, like wearing a mask and doing all this thing, as if all of a sudden we cared about one another. Like, when? Why didn't we care all along about one another? Why didn't we care about the well-being of people long ago? Why did we have to go through a pandemic only to then realize the value of life? And maybe we should care about one another to realize that maybe we are actually only one race and not multiple. We are only one race, one family. We are just one humanity. And there's nothing else. Everything is just man-made layers of beliefs and perceptions that create division. Why did we have to go through a pandemic to only realize that we are just one entity? Period. So, in order to avoid this kind of issue from arising in the future, we want to be prepared and cultivate urgency perpetually, just like we update a software. If you have a virus or a threat, you're being hacked, you're not gonna wait. If my PC is hacked, then I will figure out how I can protect it. Of course not. You will prevent by installing software, and you want to organize it and plan it ahead so that it cannot happen, or you can reduce the chances to the lowest possible that you're being hacked. It's the same. You take the same, but in the context at a larger scale for humanity, for healthcare, and also for the environment. And the last thing I want to say is a lot of the times when I talk about that with people, and I say that we are too tolerant with solving problems. What do I mean by that? We don't have a high enough standard for finding solutions. For example, when you drive your car, do you tolerate that if you are about to get in an accident, there's a car in front of you that's immobilized, and you need to stop your car. Would you tolerate to only, if your brake works only half, like 50%, it's not really, it works sometimes. Would you tolerate that? Absolutely not. You want your car to stop here and now. When you what are the example? When you turn off your light, do you tolerate that your light only turns on 1 time out of 5? Of course not. You want your light to turn on 100% of the time. If not, you're going to get mad, and you're going to find that not normal. So we have to apply the same degree of tolerance for global issues, so that we don't tolerate to only reduce. We have it has to become a priority and a standard to eliminate problems, not reduce them. For CO2 emissions, for pollution, for waste, it has to become such a priority that we don't tolerate to only reduce. that we aspire to eliminate poverty, to eliminate war, to eliminate waste, and to eliminate pollution, both on land, in water and oceans, and in space. Not reduce, eliminate issues. And this is the only way that we could effectively live in harmony as one humanity and reach an abundant civilization, to finally embody a global race that's not divided by religion and ethnicity and what have you, so that we can finally become one and collaboratively and collectively progress through solving the most important issues that we face. Thanks for watching. For the unity of humanity and the sanity of the earth.